Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show, we're talking about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of The Gifted. A lot of stuff went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Obviously, we have Lauren. I'm curious about her situation of how much she's telling her parents versus what's... Because, like, she had that dream, but she's like, oh, I don't remember. Did she literally not remember? Because, you know... Because it's interesting, because it seems like she's tapping into Andreas's memories. Andreas's, or just one of their memories she's tapping into. But it's also getting to the point that her powers are starting to manifest like Andrea's, in the sense of like, whereas before, like, Lauren's power was more... It could be obviously offensive, but it wasn't as deadly as it is now. Because now she kind of goes all Destructo Disc, which is interesting. Because now it's kind of got like a yellow look to it in comparison to it normally having blue, which is kind of interesting. It all happened the moment she started obsessing over power, learning about their family. I guess by learning about their family's history, she was planning on trying to learn more about her powers. And now it's like, like I said, whereas like, I guess when she pushed air inwards to kind of create those like bubble shields, where she pushed the air together and kind of pushed inward, whereas Andy kind of pulls apart. That's their abilities. So I guess now she's learned how to take that and then condense it even more, but now like literally slice things. That turned into what's also interesting too, because it looked like Andreas later on, after the music box, he draws a sword and he points to that dude and it starts glowing. And it looks like when they use their Fenris ability, that pushing, it looks like that. So I'm curious, like the moment his sister died, did he gain all of the power? Like, did he absorb it in some shape or form? Which also, side note, every time I've been calling that Fenrir, it's Fenris. It's probably still tied together to like the whole like, you know, Norse mythology of like the, you know, Fenrir the wolf, but maybe it's tied that, but it's just like, it's Fenris, not Fenrir. I've been calling it, I think, Fenrir since like, well, I mean, I think I'm still saying it because I'm saying Fenrir. Nevertheless, anyway. Either way, it does seem like, you know, I guess like eventually at one point, and maybe that's going to be kind of the sad destiny of Andy and Lauren, that eventually only one of them is potentially going to make it out. Maybe it's kind of like the sad part of like the whole Fenris situation of like tragedy always befalls one of them in some shape or form, and then the other kind of has to continue on living without the other. So it's interesting because it's like Andy was the one that seemed like he was going down a dark route. Definitely Lauren is, because of the way she was threatening the landlord. It's like, oh, if you call police on my family again, there will be consequences. Slices the table in half, slices his TV in half, and it's like, the fact of the matter is you won't know who's a mutant, so you better watch your back type of thing. And it's like, wow. And it just kind of came out of nowhere. So it's like, it might not just be, it might be something in their DNA, like something in their mutant DNA, like in that family, like shifts something inside of them. I don't know. Or maybe it was the music box too. Maybe it just, because obviously that was that note, and as well as the intertwined like hair from both siblings was left in that music box. But it's like, maybe there's something about the music itself. It's actually interesting because Reed actually talks about it, like basically it's a music about the children being stolen and the parents not paying attention to it. Because once again, I brought this up before, Reed, it's super being like, I don't know about all this, but Caitlyn's feeding into it, being like, no, we can't hold Lauren back. It's like, oh, her getting stronger and stuff like that isn't a problem. He's like, look what happened to Andy when he got obsessed with power. It's like Andy was brainwashed. Caitlyn is so blinded by what she wants, she's not willing to see. I mean, to be fair, it's kind of interesting because she hasn't changed. Like, it seemed like Caitlyn was on a path to potentially changing, but she's just as obsessed with getting Andy back as it was beginning. Like, I brought that up last episode of how, like, Andy and Lauren seem to be on the same... Caitlyn and Lauren seem to be on the same page of, like, we got to strike at the... inner circle, get Andy back and all of that. But the fact of the matter is, even the others like Clarice, Marcos, and even Reed himself are kind of like, I don't think that's a great idea. We don't necessarily have the manpower right now to be kind of doing that. But for Caitlyn, it's like, no, we can't hold Lauren back anymore. She's like, I can do this. I can handle all of this, the weight of everything. Because for her, it's like, it gets a little too much sometimes. But Caitlyn's like, oh, we might have to cross the line to get this done, which is like, whoa, that's kind of interesting. Like, stuff I feel like she got on Andy and would have gotten on Andy about before, now she's shifting over. It's like, it's almost like Caitlyn and Lauren are slowly because it's like, I guess it's that, like, to battle the darkness that Andy's kind of dwelling in right now, you have to be in that darkness too. Lauren was so scared that she would have to, that Andy would drag her down with. It's like, technically, her mom and Andy are, but the fact that, because Caitlyn doesn't realize that she's so focused on what she wants, she's like, no, Lauren can do it, but it's like, she doesn't know at what cost. Like, Lauren won't be the same person when this is all said and done. You might end up getting rid of her humanity. She might end up switching sides and going with Andy because she becomes a completely different person. So, but it seems like Reed's the only one that's kind of like, I don't know about this. So that's definitely going to be interesting as that progresses forward. Which I think on some level, it's actually kind of interesting how they structure that too, because Reed, the parent who actually is a mutant, is the one saying like, let's not kind of do this. Whereas like, it's kind of interesting because it's almost like there's a divide amongst them too. Like where there was between Lauren and Andy, it kind of seems like, I mean, obviously it's already been there the entire season, but it seems like maybe you kind of have Reed going more of the mutant, the X-Men route, whereas you have Caitlyn kind of going almost a brotherhood route and dragging Lauren alone, even though they think they're still on like the X-Men side of things. I don't know, it's just kind of interesting to think about like the parallels between like the kids kind of being divided and the parents being divided like that as well. So it's just kind of an interesting thing. Also in this episode is the whole, you know, Marcos and Lorna situation. Lorna coming to him for help because Reva got some new mutants. One of them I recognized, like there was an actor, like there was that dude, I was like, what do I know him from? He's popped up in Person of Interest, but I think the thing I knew him first from, because he's definitely popped up in other stuff, but it's like The Mob Doctor. If you've never seen The Mob Doctor, it was a short-lived show on Fox that he was like one of the main actors in it. So I was like, oh yeah, that's what I recognize him from, just because like the whole Fox thing. I think he popped up, didn't he pop up? Yeah, in Gotham too. I completely forgot, which is kind of interesting, just because, you know, the actress who plays Lauren was on Gotham, but he played Carmine Falcone's son. Was it like Mario, I think? I was like, that's the other thing I recognize him, because I felt like it was something much more recent than like the Mob Doctor, or even the Person of Interest thing, even though that was like more, nevertheless, that's me going on a tangent. But bringing in new recruits, and it turns out Lauren knows who these people are, because apparently they attacked a cruise and killed a whole bunch of people. Like, Reva is okay with it too, because it's like, wait, why are you okay with this? You, like, you know, this is all about, because it's kind of interesting, because I'd already talked about it before, like Lauren, I keep doing it, Lorna had reservations about, you could tell like her mind was kind of shifting, whereas Andy was a lot more, his was shifting for the worse. It seems like Lorna's was shifting for the better, because she was thinking about the kiss between her and Marcos, and it made her conflicted. And now seeing this, it's like, whoa. I know we're going to do some bad things, stuff like that. Because like for her, bringing in these group of people is just like the whole Rebecca situation, her killing all those people. It's the same thing in her mind. It's like sacrifices had to be made. Once again, Reva's like, what about the whole like you bringing down a plane thing? It's like, well, yeah, I knew that I wouldn't have to, I'd have to get my hands dirty to make this happen. I knew like, you know, sacrifices would have to be made, but like there were thousands of people that died, and a lot of them were innocent, but it was like Reva wants that, and you know, Lauren doesn't. Lorna, do it. I keep doing that every time. I'd probably be better off just calling her Polaris, which that's kind of an interesting thing, because that comes up later on, because it's like, oh yeah, Clarice, he's like, Erg is like, oh, Blink, and Marcos is like, oh, you're Blink now, and she's like, yeah, Eclipse, and I'm like, right, it's kind of funny, because they don't actually refer to each other by their mutant names, which I'm kind of fine with, because I kind of forget about it, because they go by their names so often, so it's like, you know, like, you know, Lorna being Polaris, or, what is it, they said it last episode, John's like, what is it, Thunderbird, isn't that his? And obviously Marcos is Eclipse. So it's that type of thing. But I guess when it's amongst yourself, or of course you wouldn't really use it. I mean, it also depends. Like the X-Men did kind of the same thing. Where, you know, even when the like TV shows and movies, I feel like they tend to use their names. Some prefer much more using their mutant names than their actual name, because like I guess using their human name just makes them feel like kind of like they're denying part of who they are. Like, I guess that would be like an argument in it, but nevertheless, that's going off on a tangent all on its own too. But the whole situation has left Marcos conflicted, because for him it's like, after everything, oh, now you want to come running to us. You've had multiple chances. You should have never left in the first place. But now you see things aren't going the way you thought they were going to, and now you have hesitations. After everything, after you've already kept me from Dawn, I wasn't there when you gave birth to her. Then you made the decision on your own to take her away from us. It's like, and now, like, because your race war isn't going the way you want it to, now, so it's kind of interesting. But even like, Lorna's like, the fact of the matter is, like, you can hate me and you're justified in it, but the fact of the matter is you're too good of a person to let innocent people die. So that causes that situation to happen. He even has that moment later on with the lady that they brought to Erg before, got her she joined the Morlocks. They were about to kind of do they were kind of about to make out, but then like, he was so conflicted because of the whole Lorna thing, but she's kind of like, it takes strength not to hate someone, but to forgive them. The fact of the matter is, you only feel that strongly about someone that you love. Because for him, it's like, she tore the world apart, and now she wants me to help piece it back together. And it's like, it makes him sad and angry, so... It does seem like in the end that they do make up, though, him and Lorna, because Lorna realizes, like, I should have never did what I did. I messed up big time because I left you behind. But do know that everything I've done was for us. We might not have agreed about how I went about it, but the fact of the matter is I did it for us. I wanted a safe place for you, me, and Dawn to have our family. So all while that's happening, we're having everything that's going on with Jace. We can tell he's falling further and further off the edge. Even Ted was having reservations, like, I don't know about this. Should we be kind of going so full speed ahead, especially after Mutant Attack last episode? Because Ryan's pushing everything to be like, no. Like, yeah, we know about it. You figured out about Atlanta and everything, that all the mutants are alive. But, like, let's not focus on that. Let's keep people out there pouring out there in the streets, purifiers and stuff like that, because it turns out purifiers are up like 70%, and that's also what Reva was all about, because it's like, we need to make them so afraid that they never want to challenge us mutants again, so people, it's fear-mongering to scare them so much, which is like not, which is counterintuitive to what you're doing, because it's like it feeds your enemy rather than helping your own cause. I mean, I guess it goes hand in hand, but I'll get to it in a second. But going back to it, Jace, goes to a shelter that has mutants kind of bust in, has guns pointed at kids and stuff like that. And he even admits, he's like, I don't have a problem with mutants, in particular mutants who follow the law, but the fact of the matter is I just have a problem with those who are criminals, which is so interesting, because even the kid was like, the fact of the matter is, you're telling me, ask me why I ran? Dude, you're with the Purifiers. You're literally like the Klan. My grandfather never needed a reason to run from the Klan, neither did yours. So that was kind of the comparison, and I think it really hit, because I think Jace was so caught up in his anger from last episode that he kind of had to take a step back and realize, like, it is kind of like some very fucked up thing that we're doing right now, just kind of busting in here pointing guns at kids like that. Then Ted ends up killing that one mutant. It's like, oh, he came at me, I don't know. It's like, no, like, there's blood on the chair, there's no way he came at you, so tell me what happened, Ted. And it's like, I was scared. The fact is, Ted wasn't ready, I guess because he's kind of got like PTSD, like after because they've come across mutants before, but like that was a situation where he could have died. And like, I think it's one thing to feel a certain way, but I think the moment coming face to face with mutants and seeing what they're capable, even seeing that what Andy did to that dude last episode, breaking his legs like that, about ready to kill him, that kind of shifts your perspective. It kind of, it adds to that paranoia and fear of mutants, because you're like, oh, I don't want you to kill me. Like, oh, the kid was probably just lifting his hands, and his lifting his hands is how he used his powers and stuff like that, so it just freaked Ted out, so. But then Jace later on lies for Ted, and you can tell it guts him really hard, because it's all interesting, because this all happens while, Jace signs divorce papers and mails them to Paula, because for him it's like, the fact of the matter is, I need to be focused on what's right in front of me. I know I'm not crazy, I know the truth about Atlanta, but it's like, to appease Paula, make her at peace and make her okay, and before, it's like, I gotta let the truth out there. I need to focus on getting the word out about Atlanta, knowing, what's going on with that situation, that all those mutants are still alive and everything. So But what guts him the most about everything, not only did he lie for Ted's sake, that an innocent kid died and he's covering it up, but also that Paula calls him later on. It's like, oh my God, you did such a great job, like protecting all those kids. And it's like, it sticks the dagger in that much because it makes him feel guilty because like Paula, the woman, he wants to get back with Paula. He wants her to, you know, look at him like a hero, not just some crazy person. And now she does, but it's for the wrong reasons. And she's like, hey, maybe we should meet. And he's like, I gotta go, because he couldn't bring himself, because if he wants to be back together, it wants to be on the best term, because it's like, because it's just like what she had said before, like, what are you doing in our baby girl's name, you know? And it's like, I'm sure in this situation, it's like he had his crusade and everything, and now an innocent person's died. So a lot of people are starting to have a lot of shifts around, like Andy had his, Lauren is having hers, Lorna is having hers as well, and so is Jace. And it's just kind of like, and I like that, like no one, there are so many shades of gray right now that everyone's just, not everyone is completely solidified in where they are on this side of things. And I think that adds an interesting element to it. But the big like, whoa moment at the end is the fact is that Lorna and Marcos witness Riva meeting with Ryan. Okay, so it's like, okay, so that means everything is part of their plan, whether it be Ryan or Riva. Like maybe this whole thing, like they're inciting violence amongst people to get what they want. Like it might be the fact is that I doubt he is. I was about to say, not unless Ryan is a mutant secretly, but I don't know. Maybe not. The fact is, it seems like he might be getting paid for it. I doubt she's blackmailing him, because it just seemed like it was more of like a, oh, we're kind of working together, like, oh, you keep your people in line, I keep mine. Like, not unless they are benefit. It's like, Ryan, you get to be the superstar, you rally up all your people, do what you want to do, feel special, feel important. I'm going to do my thing. It's like, so we'll both be beasts in our own regard. And like, you handle your people and be great, I'll handle my people and be great, and we'll kind of like be, you know, because it seems like they need each other, because they need the hate from the other respective group to make them stand out as like, you know, like this is all part of, it's deceitful, but for Riva, it's like if it get us what we want, who cares? Like what sacrifices have to be made, what kind of, even if we have to stage stuff. And I'm sure the same thing applies for Ryan, that for them, that's all that matters. It isn't just about this beautiful world that they're building. It's about power and position, and I think that's all that they care about. That's where my mindset is on this right now, that this whole thing is, like I said, just some orchestrated thing of like, so both sides will get heightened and in a tizzy and just get super aggro. But it just seems like that could so easily go the wrong way. So I'm like, why would you even tempt that? Especially because it seems like all that Riva's done to get to where she is. Like I said, not unless it's just a situation that Ryan is a mutant that's on the inside, or it could be he's just a greedy person that's like, oh yeah, I'll do all this stuff. I'll pretend like I'm a mutant hater and stuff like that, rally up people to help you out, because maybe he is legitimately just a human getting paid. Maybe not a mutant getting paid, but a human. So we'll kind of have to wait and see on that regard. Then we have Evangelina. Evangelina. I think I'm confusing it with Evangeline Lilly in my head. It's Evangelina, right? I think so. It's gathering up all mutant underground people, even though Marcos went to try and check out some of the places. To be fair, Lorna stopped him on some of his stops, so we don't know how all the mutant underground feels. But Evangeline is gathering, once again, Evangelina, I think, is gathering up people, and she's telling John and his people to gather up because things are getting too out of control. It's not just about the inner circle anymore. People have their reservations, but it's like because of what the inner circle is doing. To be fair, not unless it's her. I mean, I don't know. It's going to be interesting when everyone gathers, because we're going to get different opinions. Because some people might be, we need to join join the inner circle, and I'm sure there's going to be those who are being like, no, we need to roll where we are with the mutant underground. And the fact of the matter is, I don't really know how that's really going to tip and scale, like where everything's really going to fall in the grand scheme of things. Because for her, she apologizes because like we should have done more about the inner circle before now, but now like you have like, it's not just the inner circle, because what the inner circle is doing, it's expanding out, and now humans are getting more riled up in this situation. It's causing more and more issues for all mutants. Like things are like, there's a bigger and harder crackdown going forward because of everything that humanity is doing in retaliation to what the inner circle is doing. Then there's everything with the Morlocks, which is kind of interesting because Clarice and Irk had a conversation that I thought was kind of fascinating. Was kind of like, she was under the impression he hated people from above, and so did I. But it's more so he doesn't hate people from above because it's like, hey, I wasn't always born in this tunnel or whatever. You know, I was from the surface world too. But it's just kind of when he created this place, he made a promise that they would come first. So, and I'm interested to see where that all goes because he asked Clarice to join, but Clarice was like, no, they need her with the Mutant Underground. But I kind of feel like because it's a situation of. Caitlin had explained that situation of this is who John is and it's who we need him to be in this fight. But Clarice is like, well, what about what I need him to be? And so it turns into a situation, I'm sure, of like, I'm sure trying to, you know, because it's like, can she just sit back and watch the man that she loves? Because he loves her and she obviously cares for him. She didn't necessarily say the words, I love you. So it's just kind of like, I think it's because she's scared and doesn't know how to feel. Because even he admits, like, yeah, because he lost people before, it makes him hesitant. You know, he kind of like, he's scared to lose people. And, you know, Clarice is kind of under the same situation. And so for her, she's scared, you know. It's just especially because like John's still recovering, yet he's going full force going forward. Just like Caitlin said, like, you know, this is who he is. And because she's like, people can bend and they can adapt, but people can't change. Is kind of her thoughts. And I'm curious to see if that's going to stay true when it comes to the Lauren situation, or is that supposed to be like, no, this is who Lauren and Nandy have always been, or are they currently in a point of just bending and adapting? Have they completely tried to shift over to change, if it is even possible? It's definitely going to be interesting going forward with all of that to just see where this all takes us. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. So the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.